What's up guys? So in today's video I'm going to show you how you can simplify data fetching on your React project using a custom React query hook. So if you don't know what React query is, basically React query is a state management library that provides a set of hooks and utilities that can simplify the process of fetching data. It also handles caching and updates data on your React applications. So in a nutshell, it basically removes the need of manually setting up caching, fetching, and all those other stressful things. So as you can see right here, I have a React application. It's quite a big project, and I have a couple of hooks right here. So I'm creating a use, sorry about that. I'm creating a use fetch order function, and basically with React query or tank stack query, whatever you want to call it, it gives you this hook called use query that takes two functions. So the first one is a query key, and the query key is just basically a unique identifier for the query, which basically handles the caching part, while the other function is the actual function that fetches the data. So if I click on this fetch order, you can see I get redirected to this folder where I'm actually getting an order from Science. And it also gives us some previewed states that you can add as well. So if I do control and space, you can see there are a bunch of states that I can add. So let me get rid of this. So this works fine, but the issue is that if I go to use fetch orders, you can see that I'm also doing basically the same thing, just the query key and the functions that are just different, but the overall structure is basically the same. If I go to use fetch seller product, you can see the idea. If I come to the address as well, so instead of writing these over and over again, we can just simplify everything by creating a custom hook that generates all these for us. So prior to this video, I have actually implemented it, but I will show you and walk you through how it works. So if I click on create query hook, so this is the magic right here. So essentially what we are doing is that if I go back to this, okay, let me use this use fetch. What we're doing is that we created a create query hook function that is using a TypeScript generics, which means that this entire function can work with any type that is being passed to it. Then we also pass in two parameters as well, which is the query key and the query function that will return a promise of the desired types as well. And right here we also passing the generic type and an error type as well, and we are just passing the query, we're just calling the query key and the query function and returning some data right here. So the cool thing about this right now is that once I have the setup, I no longer need this entire file anymore. I can just copy this, hit Ctrl C and come right here, and I think it's fetch address. Okay, so fetch address, so I can come here and hold shift alt and down, get rid of this one and paste in the use fetch user address and call this query hook we just created right here and passing the query key. So in this case, I think we call it address. So say address, and we'll call this and we'll get rid of this fetch product and passing the query function. So in our case, it said fetch is it fetch user address? I think it's fetch user, yeah, so fetch user address. So right now I can save this and come right here. I can delete this file. So if it's a single we're getting a single item, it's basically the same idea. What we just have to do is pass in a slug as a parameter, then using the same drill we'll get the query key, but in our case we're just setting it to seller shop, then adding the slug as well. Then the other argument is the actual query function. And as you can also see, we're just passing the slug. So in order to use something like this, I can come to, where is this being used? So let me copy this one, find. So I can just paste it right here and click on this. As you can see, we have the use fetch shop ID. Where are we using it? We're just basically passing the ID right here. So I can still do the same for everything. I'm going to get rid of this, and I think this one is use order. So I copy this down. I'll call this use fetch order and set this to, what did I say it to? Okay, this was just order. Plus order, and this has an ID, order ID, so you can see fetch, okay, fetch order right here. So we say fetch order. So you can see it says order ID, so I can decide to leave it as log. I will change this one to order ID, pass it right here as well. So say order ID, and here should be order ID. So I can come here and I can just delete it and copy this use fetch order and search for where it's been used. Okay, so it's just here, so I'll click on this and we're supposed to have an error. So let me see, TypeScript is supposed to be showing an error right here, but that's fine. We can still get rid of this one and we're just re-importing it again. So we'll just grab this, and now this loading right here, why it's causing an having. So as you can see, we also need to set the loading and error to match the is loading and its error. So initially it was just losing an error, so we need to set to match it like this. So I think I can do this two ways. I can say is loading, can be loading, yeah, but I'm just going to use the default one. So say is error. I'll say here should be it's loading, and here should be error. So basically, I hope you can see how well everything is structured compared to how it was initially. So the good thing about this approach is that first of all, it makes us to write cleaner code. So we no longer have to use this use query hook over and over again whenever we want to get data. Another reason why this approach is good is that it gives us better consistency. So you can see that every hook follows the same structure, which makes it easier to maintain. And finally, the good thing about this approach is scalability. So for this project, that is actually a really large project. As the project grows, creating new hooks becomes easy. So I just have to set the states to get the data from whatever database I'm using. In my case, I'm using Sanity. Then I can just if I'm getting all, so if I am getting every item, I can just call it right here. But if I'm getting a specific item by ID, I can just specify it by just duplicating this and changing the query key and the query function. Alright guys, so that's the end of the video. Hope you found it helpful. If you still got time, I will urge you to watch this video because you're going to learn as much as you've learned today. Alright, till next time, and happy coding.